Have you ever had a gut feeling, a sudden hunch that turned out to be true? Or maybe you felt a strange sense of déjà vu, like you've lived a moment before. We often dismiss these as simple coincidences. But what if there's something more? What if they're glimpses of a hidden human ability, a sixth sense? Today, we're diving deep into the world of parapsychology, exploring the fascinating and often controversial research into extrasensory perception, or ES. We'll uncover why some of these studies were so groundbreaking they were allegedly shut down, and ask the big question: are we being kept from unlocking our own hidden potential? The story begins in the early 20th century, a time of great scientific discovery. While physicists were splitting the atom, a different group of pioneers decided to explore the inner universe of the human mind. One of the most famous was J.B. Rhine at Duke University. He wasn't some fringe mystic. He was a serious botanist who became fascinated with tales of mind-reading and clairvoyance. He wanted to apply rigorous scientific methods to these phenomena. His most famous experiments involved Xena cards. These were a simple deck of 25 cards, each with one of 5 symbols: a circle, a cross, wavy lines, a square, or a star. In a typical test, a researcher would look at a card and the participant, often in another room or even another building, would try to guess the symbol. By pure chance, you'd expect to get about 5 right out of 25, or 20%. But Rhine's subjects consistently scored higher. Some individuals, whom he called high scorers, achieved results that were statistically astronomical, far beyond what luck could explain. Rhine's work was explosive. It was published in scientific journals and captured the public's imagination. The idea that the mind could perceive things without the known 5 senses was revolutionary. But it also attracted intense skepticism. Critics argued his methods were flawed. They pointed to potential sensory leakage, where participants might catch subtle cues, like the reflection of a card in someone's glasses, or even unconscious whispering from the experimenter. Others suggested that researchers might be selectively reporting their most successful results, a problem known as the file drawer effect, where failed experiments are simply never published. Despite the criticism, the research continued, and it wasn't just happening in university labs. As the Cold War ramped up, both the United States and the Soviet Union became intensely interested in the potential military applications of ESP. Could a psychic spy look inside a secret enemy base? Could they mentally influence a foreign leader or even disable missile systems from a distance? This wasn't science fiction. It was a serious area of intelligence research. In the U.S., this led to Project Stargate, a top-secret program run by the CIA and later the Defense Intelligence Agency for over 2 decades. From the 1970s to 1995, the government employed and trained a team of so-called remote viewers. These individuals were tasked with using their minds to gather intelligence on foreign targets. They would be given coordinates or a simple cue and asked to describe what they saw at that location. The results were astonishingly mixed. Some sessions produced incredibly accurate and verifiable details. For instance, remote viewers allegedly located a downed Soviet bomber in Africa, described the construction of a new type of submarine before it was publicly known, and even sketched out secret military installations with surprising accuracy. One famous case involved viewer Joseph who was asked to describe a building in the Soviet Union. He drew a large structure with a giant gantry crane moving back and forth, which was later confirmed to be a construction hall for a new class of submarine. But for every stunning success, there were plenty of failures. Many remote viewing sessions produced vague, incorrect, or completely unverifiable information. The data was noisy and unreliable. This became the program's ultimate downfall in 1995. An independent review by the American Institutes for Research concluded that there was no convincing evidence that remote viewing was a useful intelligence-gathering tool. The report stated that while some results were intriguing, they weren't consistent enough to be used for actionable intelligence. And just like that, after more than 20 years and millions of dollars, Project Stargate was officially terminated and declassified. This is where the idea of banned research really takes hold. Was the program shut down simply because it didn't work, or was it shut down because it worked too well and the implications were too world-shaking to handle? Proponents of the latter theory argue that the official report was They claimed that the successes, even if sporadic, were so profound that they pointed to a genuine human ability. An ability that, if widely known and developed, could destabilize governments, economy, and our entire understanding of reality. Imagine a world where anyone could potentially read your thoughts or spy on you from afar. The implications for privacy and security would be immense. Perhaps, the theory goes, the powers that be decided it was safer to publicly discredit the research and bury the findings, keeping this knowledge confined to secret circles. This idea is fueled by the fact that many of the key players from Stargate, like physicists Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff, continue to stand by their research. They argue that the official review was biased and didn't properly analyze the data. They've published books and given lectures presenting their side of the story, showing compelling evidence that seems to defy conventional explanation. They point to the strict protocols they used, such as double-blind experiments where neither the viewer nor the immediate researcher knew the correct target, to eliminate bias and sensory cues. So, where does that leave us? On one hand, we have the mainstream scientific community, which largely remains skeptical of ESP. They demand repeatable, consistent results that can be demonstrated on demand in any laboratory, something parapsychology has struggled to provide. They argue that the anecdotal successes are likely a combination of luck, statistical anomalies, and cognitive biases, like confirmation bias, where we tend to remember the hits and forget the misses. On the other hand, we have a compelling body of research, from Rhine's card tests to the Stargate program, that suggests something is going on, even if we don't fully understand it. The statistical odds in some of these experiments are, as one researcher put it, 1,000,000 to 1. To dismiss it all as fraud or error seems just as closed-minded as blindly believing in it. Perhaps the problem lies in our approach. We're trying to measure a subtle, non-physical phenomenon using the rigid, physical tools of conventional science. It could be like trying to measure the temperature of water with a ruler. Maybe ESP's UNT power that can be turned on and off like a light switch. Maybe it's more like creativity or intuition, a fleeting, delicate ability that is easily disrupted by skepticism, pressure, and the sterile environment of a laboratory. Many people who have experienced these phenomena describe them as happening spontaneously, often when they are relaxed, daydreaming, or in a state of crisis. It's rarely something they can summon on command. This makes it incredibly difficult to study scientifically. So, was the research truly banned in a literal sense? No. Parapsychology labs still exist, though they are often underfunded and on the fringes of academia. But in a more practical sense, the official discrediting of programs like Stargate created a massive stigma. It made it nearly impossible to get mainstream funding or be taken seriously. The topic became taboo, relegated to the world of conspiracy theories and late-night talk shows. The research wasn't banned by law, but by ridicule and a lack of support. What if the key to unlocking our sixth sense isn't in a government lab, but within ourselves? By paying more attention to our intuition, practicing mindfulness, and meditation to quiet the mental noise, and keeping an open mind to the subtle signals we receive every day. Maybe these coincidences and gut feelings aren't random noise. Maybe they're whispers from a part of our consciousness we've long been taught to ignore. The story of the sixth sense is far from over. It's a mystery that sits at the very edge of our understanding of consciousness and the universe. Was the research shut down because it failed, or because it succeeded too well? We may never know for sure, but the evidence invites us to wonder, to question, and to explore the incredible, untapped potential of the human mind. What do you think? Have you ever had an experience you couldn't explain? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's greatest mysteries. Thanks for watching.